trying to buy a bodysuit so you can drink outside. It's just...
Welcome to Off the Hanger. This week's guest is personal brand coach Lara Kennedy. She is possibly the most intentional shopper that I have ever met. I really, really enjoyed my chat with her, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Lara, it is absolutely lovely to have you with us on Off the Hanger. You're a personal brand coach. That is a really fascinating idea to me. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
It's so much fun. It's like coaching, but mindset and aesthetics. So it's really, really this kind of beautiful mesh of. So I actually used to be a stylist. Well, I actually used to be a theater director, and then I was a stylist. And then there's just so much in, as you know, as in styling people and helping them to overcome like the blocks in their mind that stop them from wearing what they want to wear. And I started to see that in business owners a lot who needed to show up in a certain way on social media, and their what they were offering was amazing, but what they looked like, what they dressed like, what they sounded like, wasn't matching what their offer was, right? There are these amazing women who have these amazing offers, but they're shy. They have things surrounding their mindset that makes them feel bad about themselves. They don't like their clothes. They don't know what colors they wear. And so it's this kind of mesh of those two things that just really help women show up the way that they want to show up, and the way that they should be showing up, because they are strong, powerful women who can do anything. And we want to make sure that we're bringing all the pieces together.
Were you always into fashion? Did you love fashion as a child?
I don't think No, I don't think I did. In high school, my senior year, I gained a lot of weight, and I was very insecure about my clothing. Like, my clothing did not match who I was at all. And so I just really, I was just really insecure. And so I would wear whatever would make me feel good at the time, which was not my colors, not anything that was my style. It was not anything but that was just like what I was doing at the time. And it wasn't until actually, I would say it was probably a couple years before the pandemic, that I loved style. I always kind of dressed up, when I was going to work, but I didn't have a style. It was like I was wearing things that were colors that people said look good on me. Like I would wear something and it would be some crazy bright color, and people were like, oh, that's nice, and we as stylists, like I used to tell people like you can love them, but you don't need to listen to the people around you. And so I think I was just really hodgepodging it together. At the time, my kids were very, very young, and so I was really struggling to put outfits together to feel good in what I was wearing. By that point, I had lost most of the weight. And so it was really just like, I didn't know who I was style wise. And I started to get into capsule wardrobes, which, and I also was a director at the time. So I was really into vintage, because that's what I had to find for characters on stage. And so I started to kind of mix this, what I call my style now is just this kind of like I have a capsule wardrobe in a way, but there's vintage pieces mixed in there. And I just love it so much. And I think that's, so yeah, I loved fashion, but I never felt good enough to be fashionable, if that makes sense.
I do think that there are times in all of our lives where we are kind of just surviving rather than thriving. Yeah. And I think fashion is one of those pieces that when you are surviving rather than thriving, you just go with whatever you need to do to get through. And it was a similar thing for me when I'd had my son, and he was very, very young. And obviously it's quite a shock to the system when they're newborns and you're not sleeping at all and you're very hormonal and you don't feel like yourself. And I was very much in that survival period of not feeling myself, just wearing like joggers and big jumpers and leggings and never ever thinking about what I wore. And it really took me a while to get back to that idea of, no, I have to put some thought into this, because that's the way I get back to being me. And that's who I am.
Yeah.
Is actually a big part of that is how I dress and the outfits that I put on each morning. So I think it's really interesting that you said there were a couple of points in your life when you felt that way.
When I pulled myself kind of out of that, and I started to slowly figure out what my personal style was. At that point, I was probably like, I'm 41 now, so I was probably like 36 at the time. And starting to, and then also like having the confidence to wear what I wanted to wear, and know that I was going to get comments. I wouldn't say compliments necessarily. Not in the sense that like I didn't look put together or look good, but more I dressed up a lot. I was constantly dressed up. I worked at a school. And so while a lot of people were wearing, teachers would just wear like just whatever dresses from Target and like tennis shoes or something. Do you know what I mean? I was always like full on heels, dressed up, and really started to be like, this is just what I'm wearing. And now I work from home, and I will get dressed up here at home every day. I mean, today I'm like, I threw stuff on, um, but sometimes I get full on. I may not wear the heels, but I will get full on like dressed up, lipstick, makeup, hair done, and things like that. And I love it. And I'm like, I don't care. Like I just, it makes me feel good. And I do things that make me feel good. And I think some of the pieces too, that like there's one in particular where I know people are just like, what is she thinking? But I'm like, oh man, but I love this so much.
That's it. It's about having those pieces that just make you feel
Yeah.
fabulous. Now, is there a piece
Yeah.
from your childhood that you've got that was an earliest fashion memory?
Yeah, so my first memory is me wearing a snowsuit. We were living in Oklahoma. But I would say that's probably not so stylish. That's just like necessary. My first memory is I think I was in kindergarten, and somewhere my parents have a picture, but I'm wearing, and I feel like every kid had this dress. This is the 80s. And so I'm wearing this blue dress that's kind of sailory. It has the like square white collar on it, with the like little slit, and it's a blue polka dot dress, and it's got puffy sleeves, and they're kind of up to there. And so, and my hair was like, half back. That's probably my earliest like memory. Um, yeah, it was funny because I listened to one of the videos that was on your Instagram of her saying, I feel like my parents dressed me like a doll, or my mom was dressing me up like a little doll. And I also had like a yellow like thing just like she did. But yeah, it was kind of that sense. I was an only child, and my mom was really young when she had me. And also my maiden name is Doll. And so I just felt like they just like put me in these cute little outfits, and yeah, that was my first fashion moment. I think I was graduating kindergarten.
I think as children of the 80s, we've all got a lot of very strong / traumatic fashion memories. I remember there being a lot of peach numbers in my childhood.
Yes.
I'm not a peach
Hmm.
person. It's not the vibe.
Yes. Yes. And then even so, moving into kind of the late 80s with the neon colors and the geometric shapes, like, oh my goodness. There's some really bad outfits as I get older. So actually the outfit I shared with you is like one of the nicer ones.
I'm just glad that none of my childhood is all on social media like kids now, because that would just be so traumatic looking back at those kind of outfits. I'm glad that they're in photo albums in my mum's house.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, for sure.
So, what would you say is the oldest thing you've got in your wardrobe?
Yeah, so it's funny because I just dug this out like a few weeks ago. But it is this dress that looks like it's from like the 1800s, but it's not. So I don't know if you know vintage brands as
A
much,
little.
but it's a gunny set. dress? A little,
Yep.
yeah. So it's a gunny sack dress. It is, I think they were like from the 1970s. Um, and so yeah, I wore this to a theater banquet when I was, I think, a junior in high school. Um, I was a theater kid. I was a theater kid from freshman year until now. And so when we had banquets, we wore some crazy stuff. And the higher you got, the crazier, like your freshman, your sophomore, your freshman, you're like, I don't know what they wear to these things. And then like by junior, senior year, you're wearing whatever you want to wear. And so I had bought this. I remember going with my mom and and trying this on and being like, this is what I want to wear. I thought that it was so beautiful. I felt like I looked like, you know, Juliet for sure. I was trying to channel Juliet. It is so tiny. I don't know that this would fit my thigh at this point.
We've all been there.
But yeah, it was my director from that time actually just passed away. And so all of us were looking through the bins of our high school stuff to like pull out just different pictures and memories. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is still in there. And now this would probably sell for like 200 and something dollars. I follow a lot of vintage shops and they sell these but I'm not selling it, but yes.
It's
So
stunning.
yeah, it's this gorgeous, like really pretty dress that looks like Juliet.
It's beautiful. I love that. What's the piece in your wardrobe
Thank
that
you.
gets the most compliments when you wear it?
Okay, that one was such a hard one. Honestly, all of them, and like it was a kind of an all of them and none of them situation. I think that I'm very intentional when I shop. Um, that's just kind of how I've built out my wardrobe. I call it like curating a wardrobe. And so it's like to me this like work of art type of thing. And so every item is has a story. Every item is really pretty. I have very few like t-shirts. I think I have 2 t-shirts. And so yeah, I think I get complimented a lot on things. But this is like something that I wear it with jeans and like flats. And like I said, it's unique compared to what most people are wearing out, right? It's especially here in the US. I feel like in UK everyone dresses up a lot more. That might be a misconception. But here in the US, everyone is wearing leggings. And so so when you're not wearing leggings,
You stand out a little bit
it's
more.
like, wow, she's dressy. And I'm like, I'm really not. But so yeah, I would say I wear a lot of things like this. Like I have another blouse that's from Cezanne. I don't know if you know the
Suzanne.
French brand Cezanne, but yes, this kind of stuff. This is a Cezanne sweater. So yeah, it's I think that I really am so intentional in what I pick out that yeah, everything just kind of gets complimented. And that sounds really terrible. Like I'm really snotty, but but you know what I'm saying.
No, because I think because you're so intentional about what you wear, it's not also about the piece itself, it's about how you wear it, and that comes from how you feel in it. So I think if you feel good in all of your clothes because you're very intentional about what you buy, that will lead to getting
Right.
compliments on all of your clothes because you feel good in that. So you
Yeah.
radiate in that, and then people are like, oh, she looks great.
Right. I just I had decided a long time ago that I wanted to love every single thing I had and that I didn't want to have excess and that I didn't want to have just a bunch of t-shirts or whenever I was kind of teaching style, we would talk about I don't think you guys have Target, but we have Target. I don't know if you
We
know
know
what
what
Target
Target
is.
is. Yep.
Do you? Okay. Well, in Target, I would say, you go in there and you try some stuff on and you're like, I don't love it. And then you go to the Target t-shirt table. And that's just like that table that has all the t-shirts in every color you could possibly imagine. And you buy some t-shirts from there because you want to feel good about yourself in that moment. And so I don't have a lot of t-shirts and I don't have a lot of just kind of average things. I have some, because they come in handy at times, but yeah, a lot of them are, I'm just super intentional in what I buy. And so every piece just is so important to me and has a story behind it.
That sounds like a beautiful wardrobe to have, that you are in love with every single piece rather than just having
Yeah.
filler, like most of us,
Right.
just having these filler pieces. And when it comes to buying
Right.
things, do you tend to go for designer pieces? Have you got a most expensive piece?
My most expensive item, which is also like my most recent purchase, is this kimono.
Ooh,
um,
look at her. That is beautiful.
yeah. So I wanted this for a really long time. It's really pretty. You can tell what my colors are
Yes.
if you like. It's silk lined and it has this really pretty at the end, like kind of ombre type of thing there.
Nice.
I wanted a robe. And I wanted a robe, but I didn't want a fluffy white robe. I didn't want some robe that I went and grabbed off of somewhere. I want to feel really good in my pieces, and I want to feel really good when I'm at home walking around my home. And so I waited a long time to buy this. I bought it from a vintage store. It's one of my favorite stores, but I really love the idea of really loving something and letting it kind of sit and making sure that it's going to fit in with your clothes, making sure that it's going to be a good purchase, not like making any quick purchases. And so I remember I really loved it and wanted something like this really beautiful, like, robe to wear around the house, um, do my makeup in, things like that, just feel really beautiful. But it was expensive. And I mean, it wasn't expensive compared to what other people might spend on something, but I think it was like 170. So for a robe, I mean, I could go to Target and buy a robe, and I could probably buy a silk robe for way less than that. But there's something special about it, and so I ended up going back on her site and looking, and it was still there, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. Here we go, and I made the purchase, and my husband was like, what is that? What are you doing? And I'm like, but just wait, but just wait. And I put it on and he was like, you look beautiful, but what? It's just like, I'm just at this place. I also think when you turn 40 or something, you're like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And I'm, I'm 41. My kids are older. My house isn't messy anymore all the time. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I have two boys. And
How is your house not messy? Oh my God, I've got one 9-year-old.
really? I thought it was their age.
Them. What has happened?
Maybe I have really locked. I was asking my husband this like a couple weeks ago. I was like, have I just really locked down how to take care of my house, or is it because the boys are older? And we both agreed that it was because the boys were
I
older.
don't. No,
Maybe
no,
it's
no. I
not.
don't
Maybe
think so. Unless when he
um
turns 10, it's all going to change. But right now, I can't see it happening.
No, I don't know then. I have very specific things that I do. I really, really took a lot of stuff out of our house. That I When I was going through my wardrobe thing, it translated into decluttering the home. And I mean, I'm not a minimalist whatsoever, but if I didn't use it in the last whatever, like it went out the door. I mean, my husband was like, "Where did this thing go?" And I'm like, "It's gone." Like he was
It's
like,
got bed sauce.
and so yeah, I was like, "I'm sorry." And he's like, "I would have used that," and I'm like, "Well, you weren't using it." So like, I really realized that the more spoons I had, the more spoons that were dirty, the more whatever I had, the more things that they could pull out, the more, you know what I mean? And I just started like getting rid of stuff like crazy. And so the things that I have a lot of are just really pretty things on shelves that they don't mess with. So it's like, I just,
this is where I'm going wrong. This is what I need to do. I need to just start decluttering all of the stuff, and then there's just less stuff for them to get out everywhere.
Anyone could come over at my house at any time and it's pretty clean and I wouldn't be embarrassed about it.
Oh my God, no.
So
everybody has to ring and make an appointment. Nobody can show up at my door.
I mean, no one shows up at my door randomly, but if they did, I would be, if my dad was like, I'm going to come check on you, I'd be like, come on, like, it's clean. I promise you. So, I don't know. I'll have to kind of think through that and think through what I do.
Yeah, you should be doing a course on that, on how to organize your life in a way that, your kids don't just trash the house.
It's really funny because decluttering is a huge part of just becoming that next level version of yourself. And so there will be something in some sort of course that I'll be creating on doing that. I just I didn't realize that it was abnormal. Like I thought that I really thought, well, my kids are older. They're not little, like trailing things around,
No, I think you've masterminded this in an unintentional but excellent way. I don't think the rest of us are in the same position as you. I think the rest of us are still living in squalor of just stuff.
Right. Oh my gosh.
It's why the camera always faces this way and never that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll have to think through that then. I'll have to put something together.
Now, are you quite sentimental when it comes to the pieces in your wardrobe? Because obviously you do declutter and you like to get rid of things, but are there specific pieces that you would never, ever part with?
I have very few. Okay. So of my things that I've purchased, not things that I have a coat here that's from my mom. Of things that I've purchased myself, the only thing that I think I have that is like I will never get rid of is this Paul McCartney tank top that I bought. He came to Texas. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I've been a Beatles fan since I was little. So when he came to town, I was pregnant with my second, and my husband and I had bought tickets, and I bought a Paul McCartney tank top off of his shop, and I had sewed in, it didn't fit me because I was pregnant, and I had sewed in lace on either side, and I will never get rid of that. It's something that like means my oldest son's name is Jude, and so I named him after Hey Jude. I was pregnant with my youngest. Like that's just one of those things that I never wear it. It just hangs up there and I will never get rid of it. And so in that term, I am sentimental. Any of my other stuff, I'm really not. I kind of have learned to let go of things. I've learned, I've got pictures that will show me what that thing looked like. And the actual thing doesn't really hold anything for me.
And you mentioned about a coat of your mum's. So would you say, your most sentimental piece?
But I would say it's probably my most sentimental piece. I actually have one from my mom and one from my dad, but my dad's is like a military thing, so it was not as interesting. But this coat is something that I have pictures of my mom wearing, and that she had it in her closet for forever. And it's this like faux fur coat that has it has like a little tie. It's brown if you can't tell what color it is, but that's the thing that reminds me of my mom from when I was younger, right? It's the thing where you would go into your mom's closet and you're like petting this fur coat and you're like, you think about wanting it when you're older. I don't think I would ever wear that now. Maybe I would at some point. But I live in Texas, so probably not wearing a fur coat around. But yeah. But it's the thing that reminds me of my childhood in a way. I mean, now my mom is the epitome of she wears Walmart clothes. Like she just is t-shirts and it's every color. She doesn't know her colors. I don't really try to impose that on her. I just let her live life.
What's the piece in your wardrobe you would say most sums you up?
This is also a Cezanne piece. And I think that, so I wore this for my first photo shoot for my business a few years ago. It just, I think, has the like, it's just so beautiful to me. It's one of my, if I would, I've worn it to a wedding. I've probably only worn it twice. I've worn it to a wedding, and it doesn't really fit me as much anymore. And then at one point we had a cat and it kind of like on it. So it's not even something that I could probably sell. It's so elegant. It's just so, like, the collar is a high collar that kind of the same thing that the kimono does. I really love like this part of my body, and so I try to accentuate that. I feel like the collar is really pretty. The fabric is really pretty, and it's just so classy to me. And I think that it represents, like, if I could wear dresses every day, and I mean, I guess I could, but if we were in a different time, like that's what I would be dressed like, type of thing. Like if we were in Victorian times.
It's beautiful. I do think that quite often. Like, oh, I'd quite like to have been born in another era just to have worn that fashion. But then I realised I probably would have been a peasant, so it's not ideal. Now,
Yes,
when it
exactly.
comes to fashion, have you ever had a major wardrobe malfunction or fashion faux pas that you could tell us about?
So this is so terrible. I was thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and I'm like, wow, I just really haven't. And the only thing I can think of is when I was in high school, we all went to the lake, and I was wearing a two-piece bathing suit, and I jumped in, and when I stood up, my top had fallen off.
Just off completely.
And luckily, there was like something going on, but one boy did see me. And I was like, and then had to like fix it. I think it had like risen up or something like that. And I was mortified. That's the only one I can think of. There's really nothing. I mean, before I kind of nailed my style down, um, now if something is falling down or a button is popping open, then it's a no. I don't put it in my wardrobe. Like, I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to have to deal with it. And so I'm, again, really particular about what's in my wardrobe. But before I was like that, I'm pretty big chested, and my button would constantly, and so it's almost like it was a wardrobe malfunction that I should have been mortified by, but it happened so often that I was just like, whatever. Like, it was just
They're
like,
here. They're existing. It's
yeah,
fine.
they're here. I'm just gonna button it back. Sorry about that. So nothing besides that, but that one in high school was pretty mortifying. So
God, I
yeah.
can imagine. Are you quite a
Yeah.
shoe person? Do you love shoes? Have you got a favourite pair?
Um, the pair I have this is really funny because I have all these like beautiful clothes, but I'm not a shoe person. I have very few pairs of shoes. I wear the same. I have black pumps, and all my shoes are pointed toe because it makes me look longer. I'm short. So I have black black pointed toe pumps, like cream pointed toe pumps, black flats, cream flats. So so I don't know that I will ever be a major shoe person. I just think that I'm like, I don't know. So this is uh these are J. Crew. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of my shoes are J. Crew, but I do take care of my shoes. So I don't put as much effort into like the style of a shoe, because I tend to wear the same ones. But I mean, you will see me like, I have a lot of suede shoes, so I'm really taking care of the suede. I put inserts in them so that the leather part stays nice. I don't know why. I just do, in case I'm going to sell them, which I'm not, because I will wear them until they run into the ground. But I do take care of my things. That's another part of something that I really try to do. Man, I sound really snotty.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think it's really important to, like, I think I buy shoes, I think, in the same way that you buy clothes. So I love to kind of treasure hunt
Yeah.
for shoes and find the most beautiful ones, and they're not always the most practical, but that's absolutely fine. But I think,
Yep.
then there's other things that people will spend money on and invest in and really look after. And I think it's what's really interesting with doing Off the Hanger is that everybody's so different, and you think, oh, I'm talking about the same questions to to people over and over, but everybody's answers are always so unique and so different. And I think that's what's fascinating. And I'm just so nosy. I like finding out what everybody's got.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I will say that I don't even remember. There's one more piece that because I know we're like kind of coming to the end. There's and this will make me seem more down to earth. Like, so I don't even I wonder what I even pulled this for, which question I pulled this for. I don't even remember. But I came to a point where this summer our temperatures are always really hot in the summer. They're like I don't know Celsius, but they're like 109, 108 Fahrenheit. It's like fires are just start. It's like you can't mow, like everything starts a fire. And my husband and I, so it's really hot, and my husband and I are going to this outdoor bar. We actually had to stop going to it because it was so hot that like literally I would get up and my pants were wet with sweat. Like it was so bad. And but I came to a point where I was like, okay, here's my need. Like I had a need, and my need was that I can't be wearing silk tops all over town when it's 100 and whatever degrees. And even some of my shorter sleeve things were just too nice. Like I didn't want to sweat in them or whatever. And so I ended up buying some bodysuits that were really inexpensive. They were secondhand, and so like I bought one. I have it here, and this is like because I just needed something to wear, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it, and I wanted to be okay if it got worn, and so like it's literally just a plain bodysuit, and I don't know the brand, and I think it was like probably $5. And it's secondhand. I did buy another one that was I thought was secondhand, and it was I think fast fashion, and I felt guilty about it for a long time. But I had to let it go. so so I do try to buy things like again, I'm not buying the nicest thing and I'm buying it secondhand on top of that, but there's an intention, like there was a need that like I needed to preserve what I had. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to, cool as in temperature cool. And so I ended up buying a few extra pieces that were going to be some easy summer pieces. Hopefully that brings me down to earth just a bit.
You were fine before. We were enjoying it. Don't you worry. It's perfectly fine. And I love that you buy so much secondhand because it's like treasure hunting. When you find that piece and it's secondhand, it's great.
Yeah, I don't even I mean, I don't go to thrifting as much as I used to. I used to go thrifting all the time, but now you can buy secondhand online so easily. I mean, you can buy most of the Cezanne pieces are from buy sell trade pages. There's a Cezanne buy sell trade group, and then there's and then eBay. So yeah, it's so easy to buy secondhand, and I've kind of learned how to shop so that I'm not nervous about what I'm getting and I know that it's going to fit me and things like that. And so, especially when you're just trying to buy a bodysuit so you can drink outside. Like, it's just,
Let's be honest, that sounds great. Perfect.
I'm not that picky.
Is there a piece on your wish list that you don't currently have? Is there something that you've been lusting after that you've not yet found the perfect one?
At first I was like, no, because I just bought the kimono, the robe. I would say I really would like to add a designer handbag to my collection. I have one Louis Vuitton that it was given to me that was used. It's very, very old. It probably needs to be taken to someone who fixes them. And I I mean, I really have, and I have this little vintage clutch that is really, really cute. I don't carry a purse. I carry a wristlet that has, like, where you put it on your
Mm-hmm.
wrist and it's like a wallet. And I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I don't really love that. I would really love like a beautiful purse. And so I would really love a either Chanel or Dior bag. That's like something that I love, both of those brands. I love the timelessness of them. With Dior, I love the floral, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, I just really, really love that. And so, but I don't look at them because I just it's not something I'd be able to do right now. And so I just kind of admire, but I'm not like trying to figure out which one I would want or anything like that. I'm not in that at that point yet. So I would say a bag is probably kind of at the top of my list of something that I would want. Yeah.
One day you will get it. And finally,
Yes,
is
exactly.
there a piece of fashion advice that you would have given to your younger self?
Yeah, this is such a hard question. It would really just be like, wear what you want to wear, and don't care about what people think about you. And it's not to say that I didn't do that when I was younger, but it would have moved me towards what I am now a lot sooner. If I had, I can tell that I had the inklings of wearing vintage, obviously, because I was picking stuff out when I was younger. But I wish I would have kind of taken on this strategy vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you would call this, earlier, and felt really good about it. But I do think that when I was very young, I was very thin, and then when we gain weight and things like that, it kind of alters. I had my own vibe when I was younger, but when I got older, or when you had kids, when I got older and gained weight in college, but then again when I had kids, and you don't feel right in your own body, like, you kind of lose that, like we said. So yeah, I don't know. I guess wear what you want to wear and be really and just not care what people think. I think in general, for young people, just don't care what people think. Like, I think
Is the best advice. It's
fashion, professional life, you could say anything. Like,
exactly
just
just life in
stop.
general. You've just got to follow your own path.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, it has been an absolute joy talking to you and finding out all about your wardrobe. I love how you shop. I love that you adore every single piece that you have, whether that's a secondhand bodysuit or a beautiful silk kimono. It's just fabulous to see. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to talk to you, and this was just so much fun.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that chat as much as I did. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube or give this a rating and a follow.